What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel here. Yes, I'm back with another video, and man, I normally do this intro where I say that, you guys read the title and you know what this video is going to be about, but just last week, we had the biggest card, or the card stack with the most talent of the year, in my opinion. And man, it was a show. I did tell everybody, if you were watching in the previous video when I gave my predictions or what I thought of the fights that were going to, take place in the card, that it was a car that you did not want to miss. A car that I encouraged everybody to tune in because it was a must see. It was must see TV. It was inevitable for you not to watch it, or there shouldn't have been a reason for you not to tune in, because it was a card stacked of pure talent at its finest, and man, I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna start off with giving my thoughts on the first fight of the card, or the first fight of the four world title header, in my opinion. So we had Sam Noakes fighting Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason is an experienced fighter in the amateurs, big amateur background, amateur pedigree, and in the pros he's making a lot of noise. I believe he was only into his third year as a professional fighter, and got his first crack at a world title, along with Sam Noakes. Maybe a little more seasoned in the pros for sure, and getting his first crack at a world title as well. So what I thought of that fight, man, in my opinion, that fight stole the show. That fight stole the show. It was the most entertained fight, in my opinion. Back and forth action, a nonstop war. Man, both fighters left it all on the line, and big round of applause for them. Big. I take my hat off to both fighters. Both Sam and Abdullah. They put on a hell of a show, and if, in my opinion, that was the fight that I enjoyed the most. Although I was looking forward to seeing Bam Rodriguez fight, and I enjoyed his fight as well with Puma, but the fight that stole the show, and I guess you could say entertained the most, was Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. That was a fight that, man, I enjoyed watching, and what a war between those two fighters. They definitely they should get booked a lot more often, or they definitely deserve a lot more big paydays and more big opportunities in big events and big venues. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Bob Arum, any top promoter out there must give those two fighters another chance, because they deserve it. Abdullah looked phenomenal. At times, it seemed that he was fighting Sam's fight a little more, making it more of a brawl. And there was times that he kept it on the outside, using his jab, using his footwork, using his angles, using that timing that he has. I know that Sam is a good fighter. He was able to maybe lure Abdullah into a fight every now and then during the fight, but it looked like Abdullah was superior, and almost in I guess you could say in most of the rounds. I did give Sam maybe about 5 rounds, but I did see Abdullah winning. It was a close fight, but Abdullah did show superior skill, superior IQ, superior ability. So I think the right guy won. Abdullah is now in a weight class where there's nothing but sharks, nothing but lions. Shakur Stevenson, Javante Davis. I'm not sure if he's looking to return into boxing anytime soon, but he does hold the world title. Raymond Muratai is there. William Cepeda, who came off of a huge fight and also entertaining fight with Shakur Stevenson. Andy Cruz, who's getting his crack at a world title against Raymond Murataya this upcoming year. So now Abdullah Mason is in a weight class where there's nothing but lions, nothing but big fish there. So he's gonna be in a mix with a lot of good fighters. Obviously being a young fighter and having great management and a good promoter behind them, they're gonna take care of him. I don't think they'll rush him into a big dangerous fight against Shakur, for example, or against Gervonta. So they're gonna take his time with them. And going to the Bam fight now, again, what I expected. Bam Rodriguez is one in a million. Those talents don't come every so often. Those talents, they don't come too often. They only come once in a while, and he's one of them. 25 years old or 26 years old, and already holding unified titles in two weight classes. I think he's already won, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 world titles, and now he's looking to go for undisputed, and I do see him accomplishing that goal. I don't think there's anybody in the weight class that can compete with them, or that can give him any solid competition until he moves up to 118 or 122. I think that's where he's gonna face real challenges. Right now, I just think he's too good. He's too good for any and every fighter in his weight class. He beats them convincingly. He showed superior ability over Puma, superior skill, superior IQ, great angles. I did not expect anything less from Bam. He did his thing, and man, he's a beast. What a great fighter he is, and top five pound for pound fighters in the world at this moment. And we go to a fight that I was looking forward to seeing as well, a fight that I was actually aching to see. And not just that, but I wanted to see how Devin Haney would bounce back after the two bad performances, so I guess you could say criticizable performances he had against Ryan Garcia and against Jose Ramirez. Um, the Jose Ramirez fight, he did get a lot of criticism that he didn't perform too well, and obviously the Ryan Garcia beatdown that he had. So everybody was aching to see how he would return against a big puncher and against the best world champion in the weight class, against Brian Norman. And I think out of all the fights, I think he's the one that made the biggest statement, because nobody or very few people believe that he would pull it off. Or maybe not that he wouldn't pull it off, but very few people, or let me rephrase it. How can I put it? Not a lot of people expected that performance. Let me put it that way. A lot of people did give him a chance, including myself. I did think that he had a big chance in winning. I was leaning towards Brian Norman to come out victorious, but more people were leaning towards Brian Norman than they were leaning towards Haney. Um, Especially with that kind of performance that he gave, I did not expect that Devin Haney to put Brian Norman down, and he showed superior ability. Devin Haney did say that he would show that there was levels to this, and he would show that Brian Norman was not on his level, and that's exactly what he did. I did mention that he had a great jab and that he had a great footwork, and if he could go back to using those skills that he has, that he had a high chance in coming out victorious and winning another world title, and that's exactly what he did. Now again, I did not expect such a one-sided fight, or such a one-sided result in the outcome. That's something I did not expect from Haney. But man, he is back, and now he's looking to avenge his loss, or avenge his performance against Ryan Garcia. I know that there's talks about now Ryan Garcia maybe fighting Barrios, and if Devin Haney decides to unify the weight class against another champion, either the IBF champion or Rowley, who's currently holding the WBA title, I could see maybe a potential undisputed showdown in the welterweight division also. So big congratulations to Devin Haney, man. He shows that he's on top of, maybe not pound for pound a top five right now, but he's on top of the world again, and he's now, I guess you could say maybe even the best fighter at 147. He did beat the number one fighter. So if you beat the number one fighter in your weight class, you deserve to be positioned at that spot. So, you know, like I said, I think out of all the fighters, he's the one that made the biggest statement. And now we go to the main event. Like I said, in my opinion, I don't want to consider the other fights undercards, the Devin Haney versus Brian Norman, or Bam versus Puma, or Abdullah versus Sam. I think that they all deserve to be considered, to be named the main events. They were all great fights. Any fight could have been the main event, and they all deserve the same amount of credit. Every fighter, of course, that steps into the ring deserves the same amount of credit. But as far as a card being built or being stacked, it was stacked of pure talent. And I don't want to call the other fighters the undercard, but anyways, going back to the main topic of the video, I'm sorry, not Devin. David Benavidez. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. I did not expect anything less. David Benavidez is a monster. He is the real deal. Another pound for pound fighter. Maybe not top five, but for sure top 10. And man, he showed that he is a beast. Beating veterans, beating former world champions, current world title holders like David Morrell, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, and now Anthony Yarde, a former world title challenger, who wasn't there against the very best, Artur Beterbiev, Sergey Kovalev, and everybody knew that Anthony Yarde would train like never before, because he was probably getting his last crack at a world title, and if he was to simply let this opportunity slip from his hands, he may never get a world title shot again. So I knew David and his team were aware of that, and they prepared for the best version of Anthony Yarde, and it showed. It showed that David Benavidez has skills. He is, in my opinion, for sure top three in the light heavyweight division. It's unfortunate that we're not getting those big fights where David can be involved in against. We couldn't get it at 168 against Canelo, but at 175, we're not getting it against Beterbiev nor against Bivol. I know they had somewhere in the contract where a trilogy would take place, and then Bivol also coming off of a surgery. So it's unfortunate that David has not gotten those chances or those opportunities, to prove himself against the very best in the division. I'm sure as long along with everybody else would love to see those fights. Would love to see David in those fights against the very best to see what he's really about. I know that he's a real deal. I know a lot of people believe he's a real deal. But regardless of you believing in his skill, you want to see him test himself against the very best. He's had fights against good contenders, against good former world champions, but not the best in the weight class. And it's unfortunate that he's not getting those opportunities. But he demonstrated great skill, great ability. Again, punches and bunches, an exciting fighter. And I knew it was gonna be a war as long as it lasted. And Benavidez got the job done. Now he's moving up to cruiserweight. He did announce right after the fight that he would be moving up to cruiserweight to challenge Zurdo Ramirez for the cruiserweight titles in May 2nd showdown. That's an important date in boxing. It sells a lot. It has great propaganda and it's promoted quite well. It's been promoted for as long as boxing has been alive. So I'm glad that he's getting a crack at the best guy, or maybe one of the top two fighters in the cruiserweight division, Jay Opataya, of course. So we can overlook him, or we can leave him out of the equation if we want to talk about the cruiserweight division. But that's good. That's good news that he's getting a crack at the top two, or one of the top two fighters in the cruiserweight division. So kudos to him. Kudos to him and his team for being able to secure that fight. And yeah, that was. I wanted to leave my thoughts, or what I thought of the card. I guess you can see there the reaction of what I thought of the card last weekend. I was excited to tune in and watch the whole fight. I sat in my couch for easily. Well, how long was the event? Like about 3 to 4 hours, from 2:30 p.m. to like 6 p.m. 6:30. I did not get bored for a single second. I watched the whole card, and man, I love boxing. I can sit in my living room and watch boxing fights all day, and I would not get bored. So I love this sport, man. I love this sport. And big shout out to Turkey for putting these cards. He's definitely I know I've given him shout outs in the past, or I've given him credit in the past for putting these cards together, for bringing boxing back to its glory days once again. And these are the cards that we need to see. These are the fights that we need to see. So yeah, once again, huge credit to him for putting these cards together, and I hope that he continues to do more great things in the sport. Yeah, that was it for this video, guys. Like I mentioned, I wanted to leave my thoughts out there of what I thought of the card last weekend. It's been a couple of days. I wanted to drop this video a little sooner. I just didn't get a chance to, but I'm glad I'm dropping it now. So yeah, that was it, guys. Stay tuned because I'm gonna be dropping more videos pretty soon. And I have a surprise for you guys that's coming early next year. Early next year, I'm gonna be dropping a video that man, you guys don't expect. You guys are not expecting this. This is gonna be something out of the blue, something that I'm not gonna give you guys too much intake on it, or I'm not even gonna speak on it because I want it to be a surprise. You guys will see, or you guys will know once I drop it. All right, guys. You guys have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.